Spring is in the air, and with that comes spring football. With spring football comes spring question marks. Let's take a look at the Tennessee Volunteers. One of y'all jumped in the comment section of one of our last videos and said, hey, I appreciate you asking spring questions about other programs. Talk about my team. Talk about Tennessee. So here we are. Again, we're the People's Show doing that. So subscribe if you haven't already. My first question for Tennessee football, headed into the spring. You're not going to watch a lot of it until we get to the spring game, but you're going to keep track of rumblings. What are the rumblings around a one Joe Milton? Now, when you want to keep track of these rumblings, head on over to VolQuest, the Tennessee on 3 site. They do a phenomenal job. What are we hearing about Joe Milton behind closed doors, the people that watch practice? There's 2 ways this could go. The first way it could go is, hey, he looks sharp. He picked up right where he left off in the bowl game. He looks in command. This is very obviously Joe Milton's team. That's what you would like to hear if you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan. Now, what you won't hear is, hey, Joe Milton looks bad. Joe Milton doesn't have it together. Joe Milton's off schedule. You're not going to hear that because it's spring football and it's just straight up a dangerous thing to speak in absolutes. What I would say you don't want to hear if you're a Tennessee Vol fan and we're reading between the lines is, hey, Nico is really pushing Joe Milton. Hey, Nico is really going back and forth with Joe Milton. We kind of have not a quarterback battle, but you're seeing number 8 kind of start to turn some heads, and Joe Milton is sort of fading into the background. Now, this is probably something that is inevitable in that you'll hear good things about Nico Iamaleava because he's a freaking dude, special talent, but you don't want to hear that he's pushing Joe Milton. And this is nothing to say about Nico. Like, Nico is the future in Knoxville. Don't get it twisted. But the reason why you don't want to hear this is because Joe Milton has been playing football for the better part of the last 5-6 years, been in this system for the last 2 years. Nico got on campus during bowl practice. So if Nico is pushing Joe Milton, we might have some cause for concern. And the reason why this is important is because Tennessee, that was their calling card. That will be their calling card going into 2023. The offense puts up points, man. Best offense in the country last year, if you ask me. Josh Heupel's going to scheme it up, man. He's best in the country in terms of drawing up the X's and the O's. Can Joe Milton execute at the level we saw in the Orange Bowl? That is going to be a key variable for them getting to where they expect to go in 2023. And they have earned the right to have high expectations. I got some more thoughts on this, but if you have not yet subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, man, we'd love to have you all part of this operation. We go live twice a week. Hit the bell notification to make sure that you know when we go live. Also, go ahead and like this video, jump in the comments section, all that in a bag of chips. Follow me on the socials as well, at Jody Pickell on Twitter and on Instagram. The DMs stay wide open like Squirrel White. Now, that's the second question I have. What is the role that a Squirrel White is taking on during the spring? Had a phenomenal bowl game, 9 catches, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. But why are we asking this? Is because of the production left behind by Jalin Hyatt. And Jalin Hyatt is playing the position, or rather played the position that Squirrel White is going to play in the spring and in 2023. And he left behind a ton of production, 67 catches, 1,200 plus yards, 15 touchdowns. Like, Jalin Hyatt was the straw that stirred the drink at many points for this team. Okay, so Squirrel White, he's got really high expectations. Is he trending with those expectations? Is he going to be able to maybe not completely fill the shoes, but at least fit comfortably into the role that is asked of him? They've got other weapons on this team. They've got other weapons they can throw the football to, but in that slot receiver position, that speed burner type, they're going to ask a lot of you. Can Squirrel White answer the call to action? Going back to expectations, he set the bar pretty high for himself heading into spring practice. Again, going back to VolQuest, the Tennessee on 3 site, make sure you got a membership there because they're going to keep track of spring practice. We're going to have spring intel on this show for you as well, but in real time, they'll make sure that you're locked in with everything Squirrel White centric. And this is a chance for him to even increase the momentum behind the Squirrel White train. You hear what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be a matter of hearing anything negative about him during the spring. But in spring, for my money, no news can sometimes not be great news. Not no news is bad news, but you want to hear, hey, Squirrel White lit it up during one-on-one. Squirrel White is taking control of that slot receiver position because that just tells you he's doing the right things before Saturdays get here to be a playmaker when it comes to the fall. It all starts in spring practice, man. I'm telling you. There's no absolutes, but you set the temperature for 2023 during spring practice. And my last question, the last thing that I want to preview a little bit here is the secondary. Y'all, we know what the secondary was last year at Tennessee. What can it be? Because they won an Orange Bowl with a secondary that wasn't, I don't want to say bad, but statistically, they had some issues, and they were extremely inconsistent. Allowed somewhere to the neighborhood of like 280 yards a game through the year. It's hard to win that way. And the reason why I want to keep track of how they're progressing is it could end up being the ceiling for this team. No more Hendon Hooker. The offense is going to have to gel a little bit. One, do they allow them time to gel? Two, when they allow them time to gel, can they keep from being that Achilles heel that they were at times last year? The offense is going to score a lot of points, meaning the opposing offense is going to be on the field a lot, and the opposing offense likely is going to be throwing the football to try and keep pace. So don't get caught up in the stats too much, but when it comes to spring football, what I want us to all key on is, hey, the defense won a couple of these practices. That's kind of the verbiage you're going to hear. Yeah, great competitive practice. If I had to pick a side today, it would go to the defense. That's good news for the secondary. Because this Josh Heupel offense, as much as they want to run the football, they're going to take some vertical shots deep. You're going to see that in practice. You're practicing against one of the best vertical offenses in the country if you're the Tennessee secondary. Can they progress? Can they win some practices? We're not going to get any questions answered. We're not going to get any absolutes answered for 2023, but it sets the bar at a place where you're excited about the progress of that secondary headed into 2023. So Joe Milton, what are the rumblings? What are the phrases thrown out about him during spring practice? He's taken control. He's taken command. I want to hear that about Joe Milton to excite me for 2023. Talking about Squirrel White, a lot of production left behind by Jalen Hyatt. Can he step into that role and keep quota with what they need from him when it comes to the fall? In the secondary, it doesn't need to be hey, they're a 180 from what they were last year. Totally different unit. Totally just change of mentality. That's great. I mean, we'd be happy to hear that, obviously. But just hearing, hey, the defense won some practices. Hey, the defense went toe-to-toe in one-on-one drills when it came to receivers versus DBs. That's the kind of things that will be encouraging a positive trend as we get into the fall. But keep it locked right here. Make sure you're subscribed. Nick, break, lift, and heavy. You already know the deal, though. If you've been around here for a while, this is your show. If you haven't been around here yet, we're so fired up to have you. Again, college football content every single day, live on Tuesdays, live on Thursdays. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Jody Pickell. We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.